Welcome, dear friends. This is Kardec Radio. Oh, we missed this time when we were here together in these wonderful evenings, studying, talking with one another. And since the pandemic, we moved to our mornings, and now we're back here, but with a very special program. Today is April 18th, 2024, 167 years after the publishing of the Spirit's book by Kardec. And Kardec, together with Amélie Boudet, no doubt about it, his wife was right there, side by side, together. They did what nobody else was able to do, the unexpected. They brought to the public the studies, the research, the results of the experiments of these conversations into worlds. And it has changed lives. And today, we're going to rescue one of his foundational books. What is Spiritism? In that thin book, we're going to find solutions for life. He wrote that book with the sole purpose to help us understand what it is, because he says it is a science. Well, I'll say no more because I have people here, friends, but also scholars. And I say scholars with the permission of the word. These people, they dedicate their lives to studying Spiritism. They made decisions in their lives to put Spiritism as a priority. They expose themselves to share these teachings, and they are everywhere in the world. They've been Kardec Radio's hosts and presidents of Spiritist centers, members of Spiritist centers, and even chair and directors of federations. And I'm going to introduce to you one by one. I'm going to begin with the one that is, I'm not so sure, farther away. I'm not so sure about the distance, but I'll say the one that is certainly on another day. Yes. Rihanna Williams. She is in South Africa, right, Rihanna?
Yes.
What time is it there? Tell us.
It is just after 4 in the morning. So
Oh
we're
my,
already in another day.
God bless your heart for being here with us. We know your husband Nico is also up and nearby, right?
Yes.
And Rihanna, you have been embracing the teachings, sharing the teachings, translating, doing programs at Kardec Radio. You want to say a few words before I introduce the other friends to those who are listening and watching us?
Yes. We've been studying um, Spiritism for about, I think it's almost 9 years. So it's been a long time. But I think we are a scholar, always a scholar. I think we'll be for a long time. A few incarnations, I think we need to study Spiritism because there are very much aspects of Spiritism that we need to look at. But the translations, and especially in English, are very important. Even in South Africa, it is very important to have English Spiritism in English, because the language in our country that brings all of us together is English. So yes, we are Afrikaans, and yes, we translate in Afrikaans, but English is the most important for us to reach more people. And this is why every book and everyone that shares things in English are very important. If it wasn't for the English language that you share and that you translate in all the books that we get, we wouldn't have been able to do what we do and learn what we learn. So this is why I really think it's important for everyone to know. And in Brazil and everywhere that talks about um, Portuguese and all that. And yes, it's beautiful. We've learned, we understand mostly because it's important to, I think, to understand, especially because there are so many books that still needs to be translated. And yes, I've asked you a lot about sometimes books that I wanted to know about that is still not translated. But it is very important, especially programs like these, so that we can reach more people. And there is a lot, especially in South Africa as well. We have very little um, people from Brazil that is actually active in South Africa with Spiritism, and we've seen that with when they asked about how many people in South Africa is studying Spiritism, it's mostly at this moment South Africans that are busy with Spiritism. So there are very little Brazilians in South Africa that is active with Spiritism in our country.
Thank you so much, Rihanna, for advocating for the cause of the good. And now we open our hearts even more to our wonderful friend, Elsa Rossi, who is now in Brazil, but was for the longest time in England, but still here and there and everywhere. She was the chair of the British Union of Spiritist Society. She was the one of the founders, part of a major international movement with the foundation of the International Spiritist Council and one of its loving directors, a wonderful bridge of hearts. Elsa is the bridge in the world, connecting people like Jesus recommended. And though she's in Brazil, very active in Spiritism, she's still with us at Kardec Radio, still helping us in this cause, as Rihanna said, of the English speaking language. I know it's 11 p.m. in Brazil, right, Elsa? Tell us a little more about you before I bring out the friends.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good evening, good night for everyone that are coming in this program today and tomorrow, and we watch other weeks, etc., because we will be here forever. This is a very important topic. What is Spiritism? Yes, Vanessa said yes. I lived almost 27 years in the UK, and my aim always was and is starting or helping to found groups in English because we know when we live outside of Brazil the importance to have this language as a bridge of the world because English can be read, can be listened, can be understanding in almost Europe and almost in all over the world actually because in Netherlands, in Ireland, in Belgium, everywhere there are groups in English. I recently discovered that there are studies in English in Liège, in Brussels. Brussels, can you
Oh,
believe that? Yes, in Brussels, because they know the importance, especially because Belgium is a part of UNESCO and the United Nations, etc. There are things there, European Committee, and more than that, I participated that and it was in English, and it's amazing. So my aim is to be here with you all today. That's it's an honor for me. 18th of April, 1987. 57 was the first moment that the Spiritism opened for the world a door that will never, never, never close. And we are here to help this door be amplified, more wider than we think that we need the most. So for me, be here with Rihanna, Carol, Daisy, John De Rosa, you, Vanessa, is really a happy moment. Doesn't matter if it's night, evening, or ever. It's important that we can share our thoughts. We can unite our efforts. We can be together. And more than that, our aim focuses in Spiritism in English for the world. We should have outdoors everywhere. What is Spiritism? What is Spiritism? Call us, call us, call us. And we can do this effort. Do it.
that's
Okay, thank you, my dear. Thank you, Vanessa.
thank you, Elsa. And we have friends here who are, you see, our friend Ruben from Uruguay is here. Thank you, Ruben. We have our dear Patricia from New Jersey. Thank you. We have a friend from Argentina, Marcin Bloss. Thank you so much. We have our friend Leandro who is here as well. Thank you, friends. And stay there because you can participate with your comments. Let me just bring more friends. We need many friends for this. As Elsa said, we need to bring everybody in. And let's bring our... I'll leave the... I'll explain to you the order of events. Let me bring John De Rosa here, right? John De Rosa. I remember the
Hello.
first you entered the Spiritist out of Virginia. We met you. You've been with us for so long. You've hosted Kardec Radio's programs, and especially of the many projects you've done. There's one we have to say today. What is it? You're reading my mind? You're reading my mind?
Happy Life.
No, happy life. It comes a happy life, but you are the voice of
On the Spirit book.
on the Spirit's book. We
Me
have
and
the
Steve Shepard.
whole book there, Kardec Radio, thanks to John De Rosa and Steve Shepard. How long did that project take you?
As you mentioned a number of times, I forgot it took 3 years to do.
3 years, patiently, week after week. I'll bring you in, Virginia. Stay there. Virginia's here, no doubt.
Virginia, oh,
Come in, of course. The party's for everybody. But John, say a few words to the friends.
hello, everyone. And I guess I'm probably the best way to say it is if you hadn't started it in English, I wouldn't be here. And that would make me a very unhappy soul. So I can't stress how important it is to talk about Spiritism in the English language. I feel keeping it in Portuguese is being selfish, and it's not showing what Kardec said about yourself without charity. And charity is, for Portuguese-speaking people to use English, and I can understand it. But I've been blessed being here, and obviously I was supposed to be here. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. There is more, and thank you. That's important. Kardec was very serious, and he said at his time, that the time was coming for serious Spiritists, and we are serious, to bring more to the plate. We have 2 more friends, and then Virginia. Daisy is always with us. She's on the behind the scenes, in front of the cameras, behind the cameras, and she's here with us. I said, no, Daisy and Carrie, you have to join us because we need it to be a party, right? Say something, Daisy, please.
It is a party, Vanessa. It is a celebration. I was reflecting today, imagining, Kardec and Amélie Boudet, like when they were right about to, publish the Spirit's book. It was, such a big effort, and thanks to their great work. And it was a teamwork because this was the work of Kardec with the support of Amélie Boudet and all the teens, the young girls, and all the mediums to bring us. And Spiritism is such a consolation to us. It truly comes to take the veil of our eyes to be able to see it clearly. So in this, we have so much, we're giving so much, and God asks us to do so little. And He's saying, whenever you are, plant the seeds. In English, you are spreading it throughout the world in the English language so that it's accessible to everyone. Why to restrict it to a specific group, but make it available for everyone? So it's a joy to be here in this beautiful day as we celebrate, and we're so thankful for Kardec for truly being a pioneer at his time, his courage, his persistence, so that we can all be here today. So, thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you, Daisy. And to complete the party before Virginia comes as the cherry on the top, here is the party girl, Carol. You
Hi,
know the
friends.
code,
Hi,
right, Carol?
everything.
You know
Say
the
it again.
code.
Yeah,
You know the
exactly.
code.
Yes,
Here's the code, right? All right.
exactly.
Tell us, Carol. Thank you so much for joining us. Carol is
Thank
also like Daisy, in front of the cameras, behind the cameras. So, Carol, tell us.
Tonight is the most beautiful party because Kardec, through the publishing of the Spirit's book, brought a party of light to the world. A light that shall keep on shining forever and ever. And how do we know? Because Kardec explained to us that through Spiritism, we finally are able to unite reason and faith together. And this is why it is our duty before our conscience and before God to share that this is a possible pathway for everyone. This is our opportunity to multiply the talents as Master Jesus has invited us all to do. And to do so in English is the most precious opportunity because the message of light, the party of light, can spread throughout the world. So we are so blessed to have been invited to this party of light as co-creators. And if we each do our part, the light can keep on shining for generations to come.
That's it. And now, Virginia, she wanted to come. I said, of course, you're part of it. Come.
Totally
Come.
not listening to Taylor Swift music right now.
Yeah. Say hi.
Hi.
Say hi here.
Hi,
Say,
sweetie.
yes.
Hi.
So, Virginia, tell us, how proud are you to be a spiritist? Super proud.
Yeah,
What if you were not? Would your life change?
a lot.
Can you give us just one very, not dramatic, just a small example how Spiritism is helping you?
Okay. Well, there's it's like a science. It's not just a religion, and there's less rules than in other religions,
Mhm.
and it's awesome.
It's
That's it.
awesome, right? It guides you but gives you freedom.
Mhm.
And it helps you when the problems happen. Does it help you when you have problems? It does. Like when Loopy tried to jump on you, was bugging you, and then you prayed.
Yeah.
And then you were able to escape from her.
Yeah, because she was thirsty.
Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you.
Oh, also a tip. If you're praying during a test, it's not going to work. Just pray before the test, not during it, because then it doesn't work.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you, Virginia. Thank you. All right. I didn't expect
Oh,
Virginia's
and
going
by
to
the
join.
way,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's new album's coming out tonight.
Okay. You know,
Taylor
it's yeah. You know, Taylor Swift is someone very special. Maybe she hears us and she will make a song one day about spiritism. Who knows? Who knows? This album that she's releasing tonight is quite interesting. The Department of the Tortured Poets.
Tortured Poets Department.
Yeah, the Tortured Poets Department. Yeah. But today we are talking about something, as Virginia said, which is a science. Go to the book. What is Spiritism? I'm showing it to you on purpose on the phone because if you don't have the paperback, you can have it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. Why not? Oh, but I like paper. Then buy the paper. Because if you don't buy the paper, in the spiritual realm, we may not have it to read. Why? because only people who merit have access to books. Huh? I don't know if I will have access, so that's why we're eating these books. So in the afterlife, we can have an opportunity at least to recall, oh, the prayers. Remember the prayers when we were feeling bad? Who remembers them? Then we go and remember. I see Nico there. He's next to Rihanna. Thank you, Nico, for
We
joining.
decided to join.
Gosh, super troopers at 4 a.m. But let's go there. Today, we're opening, it's like an open classroom. The teacher is Kardec. We are his students, and we are here together to see how we are studying this book together, okay? So if you're home, read it. What are you going to read for today? The prologue and chapter 1, which is the critic. Okay, that's it. I know he talks and talks, but it's good. He's teaching us to talk about Spiritism with people. People who wants to criticize. They may not know. But let's go one step back. I'm going to give one round here. The prologue, he explains why he wrote it. He says to us so beautifully. Kardec says to us, let me share this. He says, one second, because I'm flipping the pages, there is no noise because it's only digital. And he comes to us and says to us that he wrote this book in 1859, 2 years after the publishing of the Spirit's book, because he wanted us, anyone, to understand Spiritism. Okay? And he says some people often lack the time and frequently the willpower to undertake an ongoing study. You think it's a thing of the modern times? No. It has always been like this. It's human. People are like, am I going to study? No, I have to work. I have to rest. I have to entertain myself. Study is last. Kardec is saying, I'm going to give you guys a break because he was a great educator. So he says, it seemed to us that it would be useful to provide in a concise form the answers. Some of the fundamental questions are asked of us every day. That's it. And I'm going to ask our dear friend Elsa, who prepared, she selected a piece, right? To this very prologue has several excerpts, and one of the excerpts that she selected goes hand in hand with the first step of it all. Right, Elsa? Would you like to share it with us, please?
Exactly. Firstly, I am amazed with the book because I read this book many years ago, I confess, Vanessa. And after that, of course, the book was there. And now I try to find my sub in English, but I only found in French and in Russian. So I have my in ebook, so it's easy to read online, And a short, three paragraphs really, because this caught my attention. How important is really, as we try to say to people, especially in Europe, Spiritism is not a religion. It's not a religion. It's not a religion. And try to show that Spiritism is what Kardec is saying here in this book now. Spiritism is simultaneously a science of observation and a philosophical doctrine. As a practical science, it consists in the relations that can be established with the spirits. As a philosophy, it entails all the moral consequences that result from such relations. Hence, it may be defined as follows. Look, that is important. I have to glue this in everywhere. Spiritism is a science that deals with the nature, origin, and destiny of spirits and their relation with the corporeal world. So if you have a doubt how to answer someone that asks you what is spiritism, you can say what Kardec wrote here: science and philosophy that it deals with the corporeal world. That is a bridge with the corporeal world and spirituality, spirits. That is very important that we have in our mind in fresh moment that we can really know and say what spiritism is. That is very important. So for me, when I read again, I said, oh my God, I know a lot of times I say to myself, but here, what says here is really important. So we should, as I said before, we should show outdoors with this information. That is very important. Stop people think that is occultism or is something that they deal with the devil, etc. And for us, it's very important, really, because spiritism is, for me, is a psychology of life. Psychology of life. What Jesus brought to us is a psychology of life, is a philosophy and science of spiritual world. But for a lot of people, it's still blind. And it's easy to bring this information, especially this book, What is Spiritism, into our lives and study and read and browse it and say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because as it is,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Thank you, Elsa. And you know, this confidence about what it is depends on us. Okay? Right? John,
Yes.
now since we are entering this first chapter and Elsa brought this introduction to us, the definition, and now the first chapter, someone comes, a visitor, to this Kardec Spiritist Society. Chapter 1. And there is a dialogue. You see how educational this dialogue is. And Kardec says that this person wants to watch a meeting to see if he's going to believe it or not. So from then on, the dialogue goes on and on and on and on. And in our lives, right, John? The dialogue goes on and on and on and on, right?
Yes. There's never the people I've talked to about spiritism. It's always this that definition that Elsa that's one that's used a lot, because that's basically what we explain spiritism to them is, you know, the nature of spirits that are always around you, and most of the time it's accepted. There are people like this critic who wants this physical proof, wants to be there to experience a mediumistic meeting, I guess, is what they're after. But there's in here he has so many arguments, especially the one that really caught my attention was the one where he says that it's okay for you to admit that you think we're crazy or we're lunatics, because so many people feel that we're off our rocker, believing in the communications between the afterlife and the corporeal world. And he shows that in so many of the statements that there's so many educated people that accept this philosophy and science. And there's so many things that happen to people. One of the things that we like to talk about is the fact that there are no coincidences in life, and the fact that they are talking to me about this right at this particular time is so very, very important to get that across to people. So his statement about the being not all here, not stable, is very important, because I run into that a lot. But those are from people, as he says, that really haven't studied the subject. And how can you have an opinion about something if you haven't studied it? But so many people, as he talks about it here, hear the word Spiritism and they think, oh, I don't believe in spirits, or I don't believe in the communication of the afterlife. So the person's incorrect. And if you spend the time, there's so much information, as we all know, about Spiritism. And he mentioned how long it took him years to study Spiritism before Kardec accepted it. So I went through this when I was going through it yesterday and today. It's just so many things that I really enjoyed, okay, because I wrote them all down as I was going through it. I do like them.
Yeah. But it's great.
But,
We'll talk more about this. We will.
okay.
We'll go over the other ones, but you mentioned especially that critic, the lunatic, etc. The first one he says is about imagination. I think you guys are imagining it, right? Rihanna, in South Africa, there is also there are people who know that spirits exist, but they don't have the set of principles, the science behind it, to know what to do with it, to manage it in a beneficial way. Would you like to tell us more how something caught up your eyes in this conversation between this visitor and Kardec, and you see it applying to the conversations you may have with people in South Africa?
Yeah. We've come across a lot of people that are very the same as this. Yes, this what he's talking to this man about, because they want to. It is like they want to see things happen, or they want want you to talk because of mediumship. But it's not the turning tables anymore. Now it is that they want the phenomena, like they want to you to say something, or to talk to someone that they know, so that you can they can see that it's correct. And it was especially when we were still in before Spiritism in another community, that they believe in the Old Testament, where they talk about that witchery and Moses in Moses' time. And that was a big problem in the beginning, especially with when the mediumship that we have and that we study. But in Genesis, again, Allan Kardec comes and he explains it beautifully, especially the piece in the Old Testament about the witchery, and that they shouldn't talk to spirits. But for us, mostly it is people know about spirits. There are a lot of mediums in our country as well, and people that we know. Everyone has a mediumship in some sort of way, so they understand about spirits. What we did come across is that they only want to use this when there is something that's going on. Yes, when someone dies, or when something dramatic happens, and which is very sad. Not that because we help, and we need to assist, because we do this. It's eternal counseling, but the study behind it, they don't want to put in the work to understand it better. If something is like bothering their kids, or they know about these things, but they want you to do the work, and they just don't want to do anything. So that is the thing, is that we need to study to understand spirits. And everybody looks at obsessions mostly, and not see the beautiful messages that came through Spiritism, because Spiritism is spirit, and it goes hand in hand, and it comes from the promised consoler that was promised by Jesus. How beautiful is that? To bring us all these beautiful messages, to help us understand what spirit is, to help us understand that we are constantly communicating with the spiritual world, if we think we are mediums or not, or spirits or not. And that is what Spiritism brings to us, is to understand that every thought that that goes out, everything that we perceive during the day, wherever we are, wherever we go, it is a spirited communication constantly, because we are spirits. And this is what Spiritism brings to us, to understand and to help ourselves and others to see things in a, I think we are studying the books of Andre Louis. And it's beautiful. It's like you're going with him everywhere, seeing all these places, and yes, all these circumstances. And the thing is that he explains the two realms that we are in. And if we can bring ourselves to see the spirituality around us, and not that that is what we are spirits. And it's not then when we die that we think about that, but when we live now, to understand that that is what we are, and that we need to work on our spirituality, and to work with the spirit around us, as well as on our own evolution in this world. Because when we work on ourselves, we can help others much better. And this is what we see, what Allan Kardec brings, is that you work on yourself first. It is a direct communication with God through the spirits. Beautiful.
It is beautiful. And Kardec says, it's so interesting when the guy says, well, if you make some miracle there, I'll believe it. And it would be something favorable to your cause. And it's beautiful when Kardec says, I'm sorry, sir, but I don't have the gift of performing miracles. And do you really think that 1 or 2 sessions would be enough to convince you?
Mhm.
And then that indeed would be a tour de force. And then he talks, as John de Rosa said, it took him a year of study to become convinced. Kardec's study was like daily investigations, experiments, etc. For many of us, we are living at a time in which people are very, how do I say this? Vain, superficial. People are more interested in watching dogs, cats, than studying. If you talk about study, people are going to say boring, right? Not for us. And there's a growing number, on the other hand, of people who are they can no longer take this emptiness, this empty mindset. So Daisy, in this first dialogue with Kardec and the visitor, wants to criticize without knowledge. What caught your eyes most of all?
So there is a part, Vanessa, right after from where you were reading, where he asked, so are you not going to try to convince me? Like, I'm here. And this really caught me, because Kardec's answer is masterful. So he says, why would I try to convince you in the first place? Because he knew that he didn't want to be convinced. So then he said, when I meet individuals who sincerely desire to learn and who give me the honor of asking for explanations, it is my pleasure and duty to respond to them with the limits of my knowledge. And then he goes on and says, conviction will inevitably become sooner or later, and the most disbelieving will be swept along by the current. But for now, a few more or less, they will not matter. And then I think this part that we all should read and repeat says, that's why you will never see me worrying about attract to our ideas those who, like yourself, have such good reasons to keep a distance from them. And he says, I'm not going to be worrying about the numbers of people. So it's so interesting because how many people they think, oh, what do I need to do? I need to attract more people. And then instead of staying close to the foundation with Kardec, they then start being more spiritualist and bringing other ideas. And then instead of Kardec gave us the guidelines and they're here, but they think, oh, we need to attract more people. And Kardec is saying that's not the goal. It's not the number of seats that you have, people sitting, but it's truly those who wants to learn. So I think that is something for us and all spiritist groups around the world to remember. We need to stay faithful to Kardec and not go against it. And it's not about the numbers. And Chico Xavier himself, even if he was by himself, he would continue doing the work and he'll never stop.
Yes, you're right. You're right, Daisy. And he said, I don't waste my time on those who are not convinced. Period. Kardec was very polite, but very firm. We have a lot to learn with him. Right, Carol?
Right,
What
Vanessa?
was your highlight?
My highlight is immediately after Daisy's highlight, where Kardec says conviction will inevitably come sooner or later. So he is modeling to us full trust in God and humility, in understanding that the divine blueprint of the work of the good is not his, but it is instead God's. So he puts himself at the service of God, knowing that God will take care of everything. And he understood what Master Jesus said in the book Good News to the disciples then, that as Daisy brought to us, it is not about quantity, it is about quality. And the quality is both an inner quality, how much we are willing to allow this philosophy and science to transform the way we relate to the world, and it's the quality with which we share our conviction with others. So, and Kardec was aware of this. And he says conviction will come sooner or later. And one of the most beautiful tools that we have available to us right now is sharing this conviction in English. Whether people are going to believe it or not, it is not for us to judge, but our duty of the heart is to share it, knowing that the conviction will come sooner or later.
Thank you, Carol. Now, I've highlighted several, like all of you, bless you, Virginia, parts of this conversation. Friends, go to chapter 1 of the book, What Spiritism? I have it here for those who are entering now. Go to your book app and buy. It's so affordable. Read this book, chapter 1. It's like Kardec is talking to us. And he's saying things that we need to discuss. So I'm going to throw this on the table for all of us and whomever wants to start commenting on this. There is a moment in which he talks about being attacked because of this, the teachings that he's brought in to the surface. And he says, because the guy says, I'm going to write a book saying the opposite about what you're saying. And you said, well, it would feel awful if I were to deprive you of the profits from a book that must be so far reaching. Kardec was not being sarcastic. Besides, I have no interest in keeping you from publishing it. On the contrary, I hope it will be well received, because it will serve to publicize, to publish, and to spread, advertise us when something is attacked. Attention is drawn to it. There are a lot of people who like to see its pros and cons, and criticism makes it known to those who hadn't even thought about it. I remember when Mentor Joseph said, Vanessa, in order for more people to know about it, we need more Spiritist centers in the English language, all around the US and in the world, because people are going to come. But if they come to Baltimore, to Virginia, to Washington, D.C., but then they have family members in California, Florida, Tennessee, and other parts of the United States, or even other parts of the world, and people cannot find it in the English language, it's going to be fruitless. That's why it takes very slow time for us to grow, because we need more of us to do the same. It can't be just one. When Chico Xavier hit the national TV in Brazil, Brazil had Spiritist centers well formed throughout Brazil. People could go anywhere, they would found one, or they would found a Spiritist center. They would either find one or found one, because then it was accepted. But in the current state, we need more. But some people are afraid of being attacked. I remember last year, I'm not going to say names, but I invited somebody to do a program. And then this person said, I am not, person's phenomenal. And then the person said, I can't do it. Why? Because I was just promoted to vice president of a big company in the United States. I can't expose myself to that level. Okay. What you're going to do with your conscience, only God knows. But what about this, friends? Say it, John. You're smiling. I want to know why.
Just because of what you said. You know, if people have that's the beauty of Spiritism, knowing that what's in store for them in the afterlife, their conscience is just going to drive them nuts when they don't take the time to spread this word about Spiritism, just to mention it to people. I mean, I just feel bad when that's the situation.
What do you guys think? You think Kardec saw the attacks as something quite positive?
Sure.
But are we ready for it?
Oh, I think so. I mean, there's so much evidence of the spirit world and communication with the spirit world. You know, one of the ones we use all the time is the University of Virginia, the Department of Perceptual Studies, and they have studied past lives since the 70s. Okay, they haven't come out and said there's life, past reincarnations, but it's there. It's there in black and white over and over again. And they've done the near-death experiences, another indication of the afterlife, and the fact that people have to come back because they're sent back. All near-death people are sent back to become a better person, and everybody does become a better person that's been on the other side. So, and then all the experiments that have been done by non-spiritist scientists, lighting up part of the brain that's never been lit up before through mediumship. So there's what's his name, Gary Schwartz, in his experiments. I mean, there's another one that's just mind-boggling. Having these rooms that are sealed off from any type of communication, and the spirits come in and read what from a computer. There's no human involved. They read from that computer, and then they go to the next room that's sealed off, and they do what they read from the computer. So, I mean, the evidence is there. It's just, again, do you want to take the time to study it, to find out about it?
Mm-hmm.
And most people, unfortunately, don't. They're lazy. So, but there's always something.
So there is another thing we want to throw on the table to see if somebody wants to comment on this. Some people say, yeah, but I know there are mediums who are fake. And the visitor said it to Kardec, is now some people, they fake it. There's fraud. So, and then he says so many things, and there's one highlight I want to throw at us here so we can talk about it. Just because there are persons who sell adulterated wines, that doesn't mean that there is no such thing as pure wine. Spiritism is no more responsible for those who misuse its name and exploit it than medical science is responsible for charlatans who sell their snake oils or religion for the clergy who abuse their ministry. Would like to share a few thoughts about what Kardec says in this very statement. Rihanna, go. Come.
Yes. I've loved that one as well, because it shows us that, yes, of course, we know about how many mediums in our country the same that is live on TV. So, and they talk to spirits, and people consult them for their problems, and they ask money to do that. Even especially when they have a TV show, they get paid to do what they do. And most of them go for the TV shows because it's entertainment more than anything else. But the true mediumship that we are taught in Spiritism will be shown one day, because this is the counseling, the beauty of everything. And I think if we look at where we are from the day of Kardec, and this is not, we are not in that era anymore. We understand that I think people are awakening. You can see that there are things that they want to explore better. And I think also because you can see that we're going through a rough time on earth, and they want something to get themselves out. And the mediumship in this phenomena, everybody's attracted to things like that now. If they want answers. And this is why it's important for us to give out Spiritism, because the answer is through Spiritism. And they will then realize with time, because I've also realized that everyone has their time. And we shouldn't push like Allan Kardec said, don't push them, don't try to persuade them. Everyone has their own time in which they will awaken. And this is the beauty of God and patience and eternity, because everyone has their time and they will come to this. But if we give out these things and talk about it, they have a platform to go back to. I always see my grandchildren coming back and say, okay, this is Spiritism. Look what my grandmother did. And, to intrigue them to study. So we have to open a pathway for someone, even if it's not now. Talking about mediumship, talking about spirits, talking about the teaching about Spiritism, even if it's just in a light way, because they do know about these things. Everybody has an intuition somehow, understanding the Spiritist things around us, and they do, because you can see that if you talk to them, they will tell you something about what they have perceived, what they have seen, what they have gone through, what they've heard. So everybody knows about this, but the good teachings, we should advertise more. This beautiful teaching of Spiritism more in the mediumship than those who just goes around and ask money for
Yeah,
for for mediumship.
you're right. So, as we're wrapping up for today, Kardec almost ends this chapter 1 with very strong statements. And I'll quote him so we can all, each one of us, say our final goodbyes, preparing for the next chapter. Other friends will come. We have more, almost 30 people participating and helping us in this effort throughout these next 6 months. Kardec says, I make a big distinction between the disbeliever out of ignorance and the systematic disbeliever. The systematic disbeliever, they are a waste of time. Because if they do not immediately find what they seem to be looking for, and what would perhaps displease them if they didn't find it, they find it, the little they do see isn't enough to erase their prejudices. And prejudices is something only the person can deal with. So friends, as we wrap up, knowing that we're talking to those who are open, who are willing, who are making their effort, and we're giving a hand saying, come along, come and see what it is, without prejudices, with an open mind, and with willingness to study. So now I'll go one by one here so you can say your final goodbyes and, the good wishes for this journey in this study of what is Spiritism. I'll start the other way around. Carol first.
We are very grateful to Kardec for his courage in speaking the truth in such eloquent ways. And we can only hope that each of us here, online, wherever we may find ourselves, carry on the same courage in honor of his work and effort guided by our Master Jesus Christ, and are able to leave these teachings and share it wherever we find ourselves. May we be a little light honoring the beautiful work of Kardec, guided by Master Jesus.
Thank you, Carol. Daisy.
Wow. So what comes to mind is that for us to remember that Spiritism is the light of discernment. So we're having the opportunity not to have that blind faith anymore. And that's what Kardec brings in this book and all his books, is that let us study, as you're saying, Vanessa, reminding all of us, and go deeper. It's not just believing to believe, but Spiritism explains the reasons why. And let us not feel that we are by ourselves. Whenever we are across the world, we are in this beautiful community. There are groups of spirit mentors who are guiding these works, who are encouraging all of us. So thanks to Kardec Radio and this platform, we're here. So let us not feel that we're by ourselves. We're part of this beautiful community. So as Carol said, let's keep the light shining and the light strong, because we're not by ourselves for sure.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you. John the Rosa, final words, please.
The item that stuck out with me in this first chapter, this critic, for the diligent and thoughtful observers, the proofs abound for them. A word, an apparently insignificant incident may be a ray of light or a confirmation. But for the superficial or one-time observer or curious, such incidents are nothing. And what Spiritism does for us is to make us aware of these little things that happen in our life that are how God directs us. And this is what I love about Spiritism. So I don't know how to encourage people to study it more, to accept it more, but the ray of light will continue from this end anyway.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for bringing that up, that especially that so important highlight. Now, Rihanna.
Yes, we are so thankful to know that we can start from the basic again, especially in this day. We are in the next day, but in the 18th of April, we start to begin with the roots of everything. Because I think it is important for even for us, doesn't matter how long you are a spiritist, to go back to the roots and see what Allan Kardec did, because he's a very he gives us a lot to help us, especially in this dialogues that he gave in this book, so that we can be armed to know and to what to say. Like Elsa, it was beautiful what she gave. It is beautiful to know. If you know something, you can give it through with confidence in what we do and what we believe in. And the way that he speaks with this confidence, and as you said, he's not a bully. It sounds sometimes like he's very strict. And some people will take offense in this way of speaking, especially in our days. I think there is too much that we don't really give out in a straightforward way. But this whole conversation that is in the critic shows us that we are not here to try and persuade people about Spiritism, but to inspire them to take these books that are so freely available and study the books, like Allan Kardec said. Go and study, read about what all the work that he put in all the Spirit's book, because we need to start from the foundation for ourselves to go forward. So this is very important, and this is going to be a wonderful program to be part of and to listen to, for every one of us to go back to our roots, I think. Thank you so much, everybody.
We feel very inspired, Rihanna. Thank you so much, our dear Elsa.
Wow. I'd like to share my life with you all. For me, Spiritism is a being of light in my existence. So many incarnations, reincarnations, and Spiritism is there for us. Always be there for us. And I will extract a small phrase from this chapter that Kardec says. Conviction. If you're not convicted yet, never mind. Okay? Be happy and be with hope. Conviction is acquired only over time through continual observation and special attention. Put your heart where your mind is, and you will find a big treasure that is Spiritism in our life, changing humanity. A big kiss to everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Vanessa. Thank you.
Thank you, friends. Final words by Kardec when he finished this chapter 1. So, he's the teacher. And remember, we're in the classroom. Let's listen to the teacher. He says, so learn the theory first. Read and ponder the literature that deals with the science. That is where you can learn the principles. You find a description of all the phenomena and you understand their plausibility by the explanation that is provided. He's going on and on and on. But as our friends are saying here, Pablo, thank you so much. He's saying good discussion, friends. Warmest regards from Illinois. It's so good to know friends. You see, that's one of the best things about Spiritism. We make friends all over the world. Eric is coming here telling us that Spiritism was the best thing that happened to the world after the coming of Jesus Christ. He's the comforter promised by the Master. He goes on and on saying to us, Paula says to us, the Medium's book talks about that. You observe the conduct of the medium, the background to know where he or she hears or not. Eliza, our dear Eliza, is here with us, and our dear Kathleen. Kathleen, thank you so much. She says, wonderful, interesting conversation. Friends, let's be inspired, as Rihanna said. Spiritism is life, as our dear Elsa mentioned to us. As for all of us here, let's pray that in the upcoming weeks, more and more people join us in this conversation, in this awakening of the mind. For now, we wish you many blessings, and we wish that you also spread the good about these teachings wherever we are. We look forward to seeing you next week here at Kardec Radio in another program, What is Spiritism? Thank you, friends.
We hope you have enjoyed our program. Spread the word, Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.